I know that the scheduling doesn't work like this in regards to scheduling teams for this purpose, but Cincinnati seems to be a good opponent that shouldn't. I wouldn't be shocked if it was a really close game in the fourth quarter, but they shouldn't seriously down to the wire test Ohio State. But it's certainly a quality football team. It's probably a top 40 team in the nation, something in that range that's going to be enough resistance to get a good read on these guys.
Would you be surprised if Desmond Howard picked Cincinnati this weekend?
That is my upset pick.
As long as he doesn't choke him, we're all good.
Oh,
I don't listen to what he says.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, Mark,
don't get me fired.
It is one of those games where you could see some people taking Cincinnati as the upset pick this week.
Well, 17-point spread, and I think that there are a lot of people who think it should even be closer than that. I guess it opened at 17 and is now around 16. So it's come down just a little bit. But I think they set it so high to get people to put money on the Cincinnati side. Otherwise, if it had started at 11 or 12, people would have bet the heck out of it for Ohio State, and a 14-point spread would cover that pretty easily. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the sweet spot is going to be somewhere in that range, and could come down to the fourth quarter just in terms of that number. But I would agree. I look for a close game through two periods, and then Ohio State, with its depth, its size, its speed, all those advantages that it has built in to kind of wear on Cincinnati. It's going to be an 80-degree day, it sounds like, at the shoe. So conditioning will come into factor, and depth as well. And Ohio State should have both those, well, at least the depth in spades over Cincinnati.
So we've seen roughly 5 double-digit underdogs win just in week 1. Hawaii beat Arizona, 11-point underdog. Purdue went down as an 11-point favorite, up 17 at half. Couldn't believe that happened. I certainly could believe it before the game, but once they seized control, or seemingly had control, Missouri from the SEC goes up to Wyoming as a 17-point favorite. They lose. South Carolina as a 12-point favorite loses to North Carolina, and most embarrassingly, Tennessee loses not just to a group of 5 team, a 2-10 group of 5 team, and they were down 2 scores with about 5 minutes left, losing as a 26-point favorite. So none of those, despite those being substantial upsets, none of those teams were the caliber of Ohio State. Now, you could say on the flip side, probably none of those teams the caliber of Cincinnati, trying to pull off the upset, but certainly none of those teams anywhere close to Ohio State as a favorite.
But there is also a little bit of a difference in terms of what this means for Cincinnati, what it means for the players, what it means for the coach. So there's a little bit extra there. So I don't know, maybe instead of 17, it's more like 14, something of that nature, where there's some points there for being a bunch of guys who didn't get offered from Ohio State and have that chip on their shoulder. So we'll see whose chip is most important. Ohio State has one. Cincinnati has one. I don't think you can play football without one. I think it's part of the rules. It's like shoulder pads, cleats, chip, and then you go from there. But this is a little bit different than those in terms of, yes, Cincinnati's probably better, but I think this would mean more to Cincinnati because even who cares if you beat Tennessee?
Lose. I mean, they're going to have all this emotional stuff about, not being offered, blah, 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 blah. Haven't beat Ohio State since 1897. The last 11 matchups have all gone Ohio State's way. So, I think some of that stuff, from just a psychological standpoint, is going to weigh on Cincinnati as well. So they may not be able to play as free and clear as a Georgia State or as a Wyoming or somebody along those lines. There's certainly going to be something there. They're going to feel a good amount of pressure, even if Desmond Howard and people within like a 2-mile square block area of Cincinnati are the only ones who believe that the Bearcats can win this one. They're going to feel some pressure.
I wonder if a guy like Justin Fields being in that locker room catches that dynamic to this game at all. If that gets to him at any point in regards to, I'm coming in from Georgia, but these guys care about this. Oh, and that's the little brother, and they feel slighted. And if any of that's talked about, and some of his teammates, well, I played with that guy and I played against that guy. And
I think they better be talking X's and O's over any of that. And the emotional stuff is fun for the fans to talk about, and it's fun fodder for us to talk about, but they're going to be talking X's and O's. And, maybe they'll be part of an impassioned speech before the game, but Ohio State has just as much to lose. I remember watching that first quarter thinking Ryan Day is sending all of college football a nation, and it is going to be his mission if they want to make it to the college football playoff, is to send a message, and that message is going to have to be domination through this schedule. They don't have a choice. This is not the kind of schedule they can squeak by like a 2014 against Cincinnati. They have to make this happen and make it be loud and clear.